Howdy. Nice cold open. First off, yeah, I know it's been a while since I uploaded last, but I got very busy with the holidays and I kinda wanted a breather to really think and stew in the background to think of something else that's been bothering me in FNAF lately. Not bother as in bad, but just things I've noticed that others don't seem to be talking about as much, or even at all. I'm going to continue to try and have that be the aim of this channel going forward, even after my big swing and a miss of my first theory about the Mimic. Because, of course, Help Wanted 2 gets updated mere days after my video is uploaded, and Edwin is apparently a contractor working for Fazbear Enterprises, which, in itself, might warrant its own video in the next few months. So, after that happened, I went back to another idea I had in my head a while ago and was doing some background research to see where it took me. And lo and behold, someone on Reddit not only had the same thought I did, they had written an entire theory / mini dissertation about it. Which, huge credit to Bon Jonesy here on YouTube. And I put a link to his channel in the description because he absolutely deserves it for this and his other theories that I've enjoyed watching since I found his channel. So, with that being said, is there anything else we have missed in Help Wanted 2? Bon Jonesy and I certainly think so, and it's a big one. With the new Secret of the Mimic update, and now the trailer, as I watched others go through the minigames again, I was reminded of a few details I noticed in one minigame in particular. In the staff-only folder of the minigame menu in Help Wanted 2, there is a first aid minigame in which you play a FNAF-style operation minigame, with Helpy as the victim of various injuries you have to help him with, without causing him to scream and alert the various animatronics wandering the halls of the FNAF 6 pizzeria. The first thing that caught my eye when I first saw this minigame when Help Wanted 2 came out was the narrator's name, Carnival Nurse. That's weird. Obviously, pretty much everyone else noticed this as well, but nobody really had any ideas on why she was called that or wanted to hazard a guess. It seems so weirdly specific and intentional, though. Why not call her Pizzeria Nurse or something similar? What carnival? She's working in the FNAF 6 pizzeria when Henry is about to burn all the remaining animatronics with Remnant. The only carnivals we've ever seen mentioned is Fall Fest in both 1983 via Curse of Dreadbear and 1970 via the Fall Fest 1970 poster in Help Wanted 2. Which I'd hazard a pretty confident guess that neither date overlaps with whenever exactly FNAF 6 takes place, because it's still in most people's timelines very late in the timeline, whereas the two mentions of dates with Fall Fest are very early in the timeline. Nothing made sense to me about the name, but as I looked closer at the minigame, I noticed one poster in particular, a hand-drawn picture of what appears to be Helpy running away from a building on fire, with someone in the background holding something. This was when I knew for sure there was more to this minigame than meets the eye. To me, the implication was immediately obvious. It seems to be implying Helpy, and possibly a human, survived the FNAF 6 fire, which, in and of itself, would be a huge revelation, but for some reason, the larger FNAF theorist community didn't want to tackle these revelations, for some reason. If Helpy, and possibly Henry or Michael, survive the FNAF 6 fire, that would have massive implications for the events of the Pizzaplex era. The only reasons I can think that people didn't want to talk much about this was, one, it was vague as always, but would have an enormous impact on anything after this point, and an already messy timeline. And two, I get the sense people viewed it as a tangle blob, whatever you want to call it, situation where, oh wow, that's neat, but anyways, let me go back to ignoring it because I don't really like the implications of your mere existence. You know, I think MatPat said it best in one of his GT Live reactions to one of FNAF theories about the most frustrating things in FNAF, being the decision to get rid of Burn Trap as the canon ending, and even put his existence in question, but to keep the Tangle, even when the Tangle was barely used in Security Breach, or Ruin, calling into question why the Tangle was needed in the first place, frustrated him, and subsequently now me, to no end. Which, to be honest, I have to agree with him on that, and I'll have to add the Tangle to the list of things that I need to do theories on. But other than that, I was stumped. I had all these pieces of information very clearly given to us intentionally, but I had no idea how they went together. But I wasn't a YouTuber at the time, so I didn't really pursue these questions even deeper until now. After the swing and a miss that was my first theory about the Mimic, I wanted to go back to these ideas to try and make a new theory, and I was researching on Reddit to see if anyone else had come up with anything about the first aid minigame, when I came across Bon Jonesy's original Reddit post, which unfortunately he had to take down due to people copying his other theories. But while it was still up, what I saw was a treasure trove of even more information about the minigame that even I didn't notice. So I reached out and he very graciously allowed me to read the original Reddit post to use for this theory, so anything after this point was done with some seriously heavy lifting on Bon Jonesy's part. So, once again, huge shout out to him, and his channel is linked in the description. If you guys like this theory, I highly encourage you to give his channel a sub and tell him I sent you. But what was it Bon Jonesy found? As he points out, it all starts with that minigame. In the first aid minigame, he makes sure to point out that there is not just the one picture of Helpy escaping a fire, but a few others. In the operation room, you can see 4 different papers with drawings, each with a title of Get Well Soon on the top. Each drawing is of something different, but as he points out, each of them together seems to be telling a story. When you view them in order from left to right, from the way you face when the minigame first loads, you get this image. It seems to be telling the story of a girl in a red dress. What's notable about her is she has her hair in pigtails, a trait shared with both Circus and Scrap Baby. Interestingly, the third image seems to show Scrap Baby, or at least the girl with pigtails, appearing as Scrap Baby specifically, as she has the notable hand claw. This throws quite the curveball, as it seems to not just be telling a story, but history. The history of Circus Baby. Looking at the drawings in order, it appears to be telling the beginning, middle, end, and epilogue of Baby's life. I will say, though, that it is very difficult to get a good quality picture of these drawings, and what is depicted is definitely up for debate. What I see in each of the drawings is this. In the first drawing, we see Get Well Soon at the top of the page, with each word filled in with different colors. Keep this in mind for later. We also see what appears to be 4 different characters, with 2 of them being different colors. On the right, there appears to be a girl in pigtails dressed in red, also holding a red balloon. On the left, we see someone roughly her size in yellow who is possibly holding some bent object in his right hand. Notably, there is a yellow and red character in this first drawing, but not blue or purple. In the second drawing, we see the girl in red again, standing next to someone in blue or purple to the right. Based on the ears, there appears to be a dead Freddy type character on the ground, based off the ears and hat. The X's for eyes are generally understood to represent someone knocked out or outright dead. What's also notable about this image are a pair of hearts, one near the girl in the red dress's head, and one near the Freddy character on the ground's head. For the third drawing, we see what appears to us to be a pretty clear depiction of Scrap Baby with the pigtails, red dress, and claw hand. The only other potentially notable thing in this drawing is the "well" in "get well soon" is almost completely scribbled out. Last but not least, for our fourth drawing, we see the most notable drawing in the room. We see what appears to be Helpy, with his pink mouth, outside of a building very clearly on fire. His body and ear being at different angles may imply he is in motion, as if he is running. But what is very interesting is what we notice next to him. Someone is behind Helpy, who is clearly holding some kind of object in his right hand, assuming they are facing Helpy. What appears to be either a hammer or hatchet, possibly. Next to this character, we see a splotch of color in a mostly colorless drawing. What appears to be either blue or purple, but we'll come back to that later. What's even more interesting is the "get well soon" at the top of the page again. Nothing is colored in or marked out this time, but over the word "well," Bon Jonesy pointed out what appears to be a key is drawn over the word. Now that, combined with everything pointed out before, is very interesting, and to us seems very intentional and trying to tell some kind of story. But I'm sure, as you've noticed me describing the drawings, even Bon Jonesy and I can't quite come to an agreement on what exactly we're seeing. To our credit, as you can see, getting a good quality screenshot from the game with poor lighting is very difficult, and the drawings themselves seem to be drawn by a child, with exaggerated features and very roughly drawn figures. The lighting is more than likely what is throwing us off on describing what the third color is we are seeing. To my eyes, it looks purple, and to Bon Jonesy's, he thinks it's blue. But for the story the drawings are showing, we can put this to the side and branch off into different theories from that to cover all our bases. But if nothing else, because at the same time, we both agree everything shown in these drawings are very intentional and is trying to tell us something, but we don't know exactly. While we seem to agree that these drawings are telling the story of Circus Baby, you might be wondering about the fourth drawing then, because it doesn't show Baby at all. But if it is depicting the FNAF 6 fire as we believe, because when else would Helpy be known to be around a fire at a pizzeria, then what would also explain Baby's presence? Scrap Baby, containing the soul of Elizabeth Afton, was burned in the FNAF 6 fire, with the rest of the animatronics still containing remnant. So that explains Scrap Baby and Elizabeth, but how could we possibly argue that Circus Baby survived, then, if we clearly see Scrap Baby burn in FNAF 6, and only Helpy is seen escaping the fire? To answer that, we need to go back to that very odd scene in Sister Location. Right before Michael goes to the scooping room, Circus Baby has that odd monologue about pretending, and then instructs Michael that the bad part of her, being the physical animatronic, needs to be destroyed, and he needs to save what is good, implying herself. She tells him to specifically retrieve her via the chip in the Circus Baby animatronic. That is how Circus Baby survived the FNAF 6 fire. Michael presumably hangs on to the chip containing Circus Baby for years after being scooped, believing that it contained what was left of his sister Elizabeth. This is the same chip we see in rare instances of the same Helpy minigame in Help Wanted 2. What is harder to explain is why he put the chip in Helpy before the fire, or even why he thought to bring it with him at all if he believed it contained his sister's soul. Perhaps he wanted to let her soul rest too, then had a change of heart in the last second and hid the chip in Helpy's head before helping him escape. But that would imply that Michael knew that the fire was coming, which, well, likely. We don't have anything showing us for sure that he knew it was coming. And who is the character we see behind Helpy as he runs from the fire? In my opinion, I think it is at least possible that it is Michael, given what looks to me like a purple splotch next to him. Both William and Michael are depicted as purple, and since we know it can't be William at that point, given Ultimate Custom Night, I feel pretty confident that that is Michael. Granted, this is assuming that it is purple and not blue, but this is where Bon Jonesy will explain his take on this drawing, which is also where you come in. We have been able to agree that the drawings viewed in order seem to show a rough timeline of Circus Baby's life, but we don't know or can't agree on what exactly is being shown or what the implications are, like how Bon Jonesy believes Circus Baby and an unknown character in blue survived the fire, where I believe both Circus Baby and Michael survived the fire. We need your help to come to a better consensus on what we are seeing here. We encourage anyone who is interested to give their takes, to take their own screenshots and come up with their own theories on what exactly we are being told here. Because we both agree, Steel Wool is clearly trying to tell us something here. We just aren't exactly sure what it is. Once again, huge shout out to Bon Jonesy for all the help with this theory, and we would love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. And with that, this is Unnamed Security Guard, signing off.